Hello and welcome to Automation Rehab. My name is Sean Snowday. I am the founder and the voice for Automation Rehab podcast. And today we have Tyler Garnes on the line. He is the original Infusionsoft Ninja. But before we talk with Tyler, a word from our sponsor. Hello, Tyler, and welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Sean. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for showing up. This is so great. So much good things about you. Just to brag a little bit about you, I know you believe in a higher power, and so do I. And I actually have done some work for you, and it was so weird because you were looking for someone in North County, and you put a Facebook post out there, and I just happened to be looking at Facebook at that exact time.
Hmm.
And then you're like, you have to be in North County, San Diego. And I'm like, I'm in North County. And then you were like, can you show up in a half hour? I mean, that was, if God doesn't exist, then I don't know how that happens. That was just magical and a blessing in my life. And that's just one side thing. But, a little bit about Tyler Garnes. He, took Infusionsoft from just a few employees to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of employees, from just a few leads, under 500 leads a month, to tens of thousands of leads a month, doubled their business multiple times, just an amazing marketer and executive and family man. And you've worked with some of the biggest names in the marketing space, people like Frank Kern, Perry Marshall, Brendan Bouchard. You've spoken from some of the biggest stages. And a matter of fact, the grandfather of internet marketing, Dan Kennedy, you spoke with him multiple times and just all over the place. And you actually surfed the Masters event in Maui. Is that true? Oh, you spoke at the AdWords Masters. So, okay. Well, yeah, we're going to go over the 7 questions from success. But before we get into that, just tell us a little bit, about how did you get into this? Did you have like a personal mission and something happened and then you you got into this marketing, or how did that all start?
No, it really wasn't that intentional. I was pre-med in college, planning on going into medical school. While I was in college, I got a job at an internet startup. And just so happens that some of the people that were there, Clayton Mask, Dave Lee, Eric Martineau, Jeff Mask, etc., that was in 1999, 2000, 2001, right around that area. Of course, 2001, the bubble burst. We all went our different ways. And then, of course, Eric and Scott started eNovasys back then, became Infusionsoft. They brought in Clay, and then they kind of started recruiting all the old crew back.
Yeah.
And so in the middle there, I did pharmaceutical sales for a little while, and then got back involved with Infusionsoft when they started bringing the team back together. And yeah, that's just kind of how it went. And all that time, even when I was in pharmaceutical sales, I was still doing a lot of kind of internet marketing style stuff on the side, learning web development and PHP and all kinds of different things. I love to learn, so I'm always teaching myself new stuff. So that's what I was doing during those times. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that like separates you from all of these other people, because I've went through your courses and I've studied, like, I have to go back and go, okay, wait, how did Tyler do that? Let me go back and watch this video. There's a lot of free content. You're very giving in that space for people just that are stuck on something. But then you went into Infusionsoft and you helped them grow their business. So what was that like?
It was a ton of fun, truthfully. Like, that was a really, really exciting time in the life cycle of the Infusionsoft business. Just a lot of rapid growth. So in the early days, this was really pre, any venture capital. I think after I'd been there maybe a year is when we got the first round of venture capital, something like that. But yeah, it was just fun. It was just a lot of growth, a lot of personal growth, a lot of business growth, tons and tons of fun. It was a fair amount of pressure as well, but that's,
Right.
When it's fun, the pressure's okay. If there's pressure without fun, then that's just lame. But it was a great culture, a great environment. Clayton Scott are amazing leaders, so I learned a ton from them. It was just exciting,
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, just the culture of the whole company you know, from what I've seen when I've been there, it's there's no like drama. It's like a drama-free environment. I'm sure it has its little dramas,
Yeah.
but it's just, you know, I've just seen everyone seems to really, it's a nurturing environment, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And so then you know, you went off, you're an entrepreneur now, you're speaking from the stage. And what one of the things I like about the title of your talk, it's 7 questions from success. I love the word from in there. And I really want to learn more about what you're talking about with those 7 questions. So tell us a little bit about how you came up with this and what the 7 questions are, and then we'll delve into them.
Yeah. So when I left Infusionsoft, one of the things I was really intent on figuring out was how do we get people to have success with growing their business and, you know, with marketing without them having to have years and years of marketing experience and, you know, crazy experience like I had at Infusionsoft. You know, I just felt like I was drinking from a fire hose, just learning so much every day. Not everyone can go through that kind of experience. So how do we get them to the point where they can make the right kinds of decisions and have the success that they want without that experience? That was kind of my, you know, one of my underlying goals. And it's taken me a long time, truthfully, to figure out. I mean, I'm going on 7 years now running my own business, and we've got it figured out. So that's really, really exciting. It's something we've been using internally with our account managers for a while, because again, same problem. We hire account managers who don't have the experience I have, but I want them to do a really, really good job for our clients. And so we've created this framework for them to follow.
Yeah.
And the idea is that no matter where you're at, whatever challenge you're having in your business, you're never further than 7 questions away from success, right? And if you just ask the right questions and you know what questions to ask after you ask the right questions, then you'll get to the right answer. See, most people just try stuff, you know, like, oh, shoot, you know, I'm low on cash this month. Let's just run a promo, or let's just do whatever. Or I went to a conference and I heard about some funnel that some guy ran and made $1 million, and I'm just going to run that funnel. And those are usually the wrong things to do. You got to understand your business and what the things are, and then you can make the right decisions. So we have this kind of algorithm, this whole process to follow these questions, come up with the right answer.
Right. So now, do these 7 questions, do they have to go in order, or can you kind of flip flop around?
So here's how it works. Like I said earlier, I was pre-med in college. So I tend to kind of approach a lot of stuff with that medical aspect. And, you know, Sean, you could walk into an emergency room today, really just about anywhere in the world, with any random disease. And for the most part, they're usually going to figure out within a few hours what's wrong with you and get you on a treatment plan and get you to be better soon, right? You know, they might make mistakes, or you might have some super random disease, but the majority of the time they're going to figure you out and they're going to fix you. And how do they do this? Well, they have a system of triage and then what they call differential diagnosis. And it's about running some tests, getting some data, asking the right questions, running more tests, confirming the diagnosis, moving forward. So, you know, the ER, the emergency department, starts with first discovering what is the chief complaint. That's what they call it. And so that's what we do with our clients. Okay, what is your chief complaint? And they usually come to us with one of 9 chief complaints. They'll usually say, I need more traffic, I need more leads, I need more sales, I need more referrals, I need better people, I need better systems, I need more time, I need a stronger message, or I need better leaders. Those are kind of the 9 very common things that we see. Again, there might be stuff outside of that, but usually when people are looking for help, they fall into one of those buckets. So depending on what their chief complaint is, then we start a series of questions. And the series of questions is going to be slightly different for each one of those chief complaints, right? And if you ask the right questions, then of course you can get to the right answer. And a lot of it is just about data, finding out what the data says, because what the data says is what's real, instead of us just guessing and going, maybe I should run a promo today, you know?
Right. So does the first question actually like break down into 9 different common issues, or?
No. So let's just run through a scenario. Let's say that you came and you said, hey, Tyler, I need more leads. You know, my business needs more leads. Everything's going great, but I just need more leads. The first thing I would ask is, okay, Sean, well, how many leads are you currently getting? So that's question number 1, right? And the other thing I need to understand, and this isn't necessarily one of the questions, because usually we understand it just in normal conversation, is what your business model is. Because the business model is going to determine different questions.
Right.
So are you an influencer, like a speaker, author, coach? Are you e-commerce? Are you a local service business? Or are you an online service business? So we categorize businesses into one of those four generally. So anyways, we figure out how many leads you have. And then we ask, okay, how many of those leads are turning into customers? Then we understand a conversion rate, right? That's our first data point, our first test.
Yeah.
Once we know the conversion rate, then we look at it and say, okay, depending on the business model, if it's high, conversion rate's okay, then we're going to look at some of the other factors, right? If it's low, then we're going to look at the conversion itself. What's going on there? So then we start to ask a very, series of questions to drill into the next steps there. And, we don't have time on your podcast to go through all of the questions. But I'll throw out there too that I'm in the process of writing a book on this. So we'll have that out in a little bit so that people can, go through the whole process and learn this process themselves.
Oh, awesome. We'd love to have you back once you have that. So we have this first thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, once you get that first data point, then you decide, just like, a doctor might run some tests on your blood and determine, hey, you've got, your white cell count is high. Well, they determine that based on a range that has been determined as like, this is kind of the normal range. If you're outside this range, you got a problem. So we've done the same thing with all these things like, hey, your conversion rate, if it's in this range, you're good. Let's look in other areas. If it's not good, then we've got a problem there. And we ask another series of questions to drill into what exactly the problem is. Is it the offer? Is it the copy? Is it there's too much friction in the checkout process, whatever. So again, it's a matter of asking the right questions in the right order, knowing what the normal ranges are and knowing what outside the range means. So you know what to do next.
Okay. And then, so it's like with the triage, which is really interesting. I wrote a blog on that many, many years ago. They have to segment everyone. So that's like the 9 questions is segmenting. And then with the conversion, do you deal with the sales team as well or more on the conversion on the website side?
Yeah, again, it depends on the business model, right? If you're e-commerce, that conversion has to do with your website. If you're a local service business, you're probably booking consults with some kind of salesperson, and you're looking at the conversion rates there, and how do you go from lead to booked appointment to from booked appointment to sold customer, et cetera. So you got to look at those various different steps. Absolutely.
Right. And then what's the next step?
So again, it depends on what the answer is, right? So if the conversion rate is low, then we're going to focus in that area. Like I said, the offer, the copy, the checkout process, whatever. If it's high, then we're going to start looking at other areas. Because see, the business owner is feeling the pinch for some reason. They think they need more leads. But if the conversion rate's high, then we got to look at, well, is it really more leads that you need? Let's look at your opt-in rate. Let's look at your lifetime customer value. Let's look at at various different factors to start to determine, well, maybe it's not new leads that you need, more leads that you need, your conversion's fine, you just need more traffic. Or maybe traffic's good and conversion rate's fine, but you just need to sell more stuff to the same people. You need to increase lifetime customer value.
Right.
So we have questions in these areas to determine how the business is doing. And then what we always want to find is what's called the rate limiting factor. What is the one thing that's slowing down growth the most? Because that's what we want to focus first. And then once we solve that problem, we'll go focus on the next rate limiting factor.
So now there's going to be bottlenecks in various, I don't know how to say it, but when you find a bottleneck, and first of all, I want to talk about the leads because I deal with a lot of people and they're like, we need more leads. We need more leads. And I can go into almost it because I eat up the phone. I get on the phone. I can call anyone's old database. I can call and find money in there. Right.
Yep.
And a lot of people are like, I need more leads. And I'm like, well, what about these 100 leads you had last month? Well, we called them all. Okay. Did they answer? Well, no. Did you call them back? So then a lot of times people fall into that to where they just don't have the right system to do follow-up on a specific lead. Mm-hmm. And then once they get the lead, then they don't like have an upsell or that lifetime value. So do you actually do the consulting? Like, do you disassemble their business and redo their business model? Do you ever do that, or is it?
Yeah, so our business here at Box Out Marketing is, the core of our business is full service agency. We work with small businesses that are on marketing automation platforms like Infusionsoft, and we help them build successful funnels and processes. So yeah, if they are a business that has a sales team, we'll look at that whole process, help them determine where the problems are and what they need to do to improve it. We can usually determine that just by looking at the data. If we have to, we might get on some calls, listen to kind of the sales script and see what's going on there. But usually the data will tell us mainly what's going on there.
Yeah. Have you ever ran into a situation, and for some reason I run into this situation all the time because it's the way I qualify my leads and actually my industry, because my industry is recovery. And so there's going to be dysfunction in that because a lot of people in my industry are in recovery. So they have like a way of thinking that's different than most people. So have you ever ran into a challenge to where like the person, they're stuck, they find the bottleneck and you're trying to get them to see what they need to do to overcome that challenge, but then they have a breakthrough, but it takes a while. Have you ever experienced that or gone through that, or is it a consistent thing?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. We're working with small business owners here, and they've got pressures from all directions, and their time is very, very limited. So oftentimes we can identify the challenge right away. We can identify a solution, and then, yeah, it might take a while to get the information that we need from the business owner or from their people to get it to move forward. So yeah, there's always challenges like that in the process. That's also why we've decided to be a full service agency, so that we can remove some of that that friction and really just get it done for the business owner.
Right.
And obviously that qualifies our clients into a certain group. If you're just starting out, you probably can't afford that full service type of situation. That's okay. We focus on those that really fit that mold.
Yeah. So what are the multiple levels of do you have bundles, or I know you have a membership site. Is that still rocking, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our first level, which is Success Lab at $150 per month. That gets you access to our courses, our Facebook group, as well as our weekly open office calls. And so you can get on and get help in a group setting, but really it's one-on-one help on those calls. That's kind of the entry level, right? Then we have $500 a month, where you basically just get more of that kind of group access. So now 3 times a week, you can get on with someone to get help in a group setting. You get access to a few more courses and things like that. At $1,000 a month is where we start doing services for you. So this is what we call our unlimited Infusionsoft implementation package. So at $1,000 a month, you can put in all the requests that you want for Infusionsoft work to get done, and our team will do it for you. So if you're familiar with Design Pickle, it's kind of the same model. You put in a request, our team builds it, comes back to you. If you approve, then you can put in another request. You can have one request in at a time. Most campaigns take us a day to 3 days to build. And so we just build your campaigns for you, do all the work for you. And then you can get on those group calls if you need some additional help to wire stuff up, or how does this work? How do I connect it? All that kind of stuff. We don't write copy at that level. At $3,000 a month is full service. That's copywriting, design, landing pages, everything.
Okay, great. I was going to ask that because a lot of people, they think, they get really excited and then it's like content. Like I have a client right now, I don't really write copy. I mean, I can, but I don't really do it. And then I always end up getting in this position to where I have to do it. But now you actually have professional copywriters that are either certified or they're just so talented that they know how to get copy that converts. So how does that all work with the full service at that level? You got the funnels, you got the landing pages. Are there different funnels that you provide, or do they tell you what funnel they want?
No, it's really a consultative approach. So our account managers are trained on this 7 question system that I explained to you. They're trained on marketing strategy. So they actually dig in with the client. We pull a bunch of data and we start tracking in a spreadsheet all their data. We usually go back 3 to 6 months, lay everything out, identify the bottlenecks, and then we propose to the client, hey, in order to grow, we see that you've got a problem here, and we suggest building this type of campaign. And of course the client signs off on it, and then we move forward and we build out kind of a 6-month plan with them initially. And so we start with that, first bottleneck, and then we have various different things that we'll do the next few months, depending on the business and what their challenges are.
Right. Now I set aside a half hour, but we can do a whole hour. Do you want to go continue or?
Whatever you need, Sean. I'm here.
We'll do an hour.
Okay.
Because then, we got more value, and I'll edit this part out. But I wanted to ask about, so then with the funnels and the bottlenecks. Now this is the important part, because sometimes, like someone listening to the podcast right now, they're probably listening for that one nugget that they can actually go and say, you know what, this is why I listened. This is the one nugget I need. And now I can just go do it and take care of it and maybe call Tyler later. But what are some of the common bottlenecks that companies run into that you might be able to bring to light in their business? Just something that you run into over and over again.
Yeah, truthfully, they're all over the place. I'll share with you kind of the top 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I would say that everybody should start doing right now is they should be fanatically tracking their numbers, right? I always tell people, look, the numbers will tell you what you should do. So you can hand me any business, Sean, and if I can see the number of visitors to the website, leads that are opting in, how many are converting to an opportunity or a sale, how many convert to the next sale, how many referrals you're getting, et cetera. If I can see all those key numbers, then I can come up with a diagnosis pretty quickly for where we should focus and what the next strategic move should be, right? So that's super, super important. And the more a business owner gets comfortable and familiar with the numbers in their business, those key numbers, there's some others you want to track as well, but that's kind of the high level set of numbers that you got to know. The more you know those numbers and the more intimately familiar you are with them, the more quickly you're going to be able to adjust and adapt when you do hit those bottlenecks. So anyways, to answer your question more directly though, the common things that we see are the offer is terrible, right? You can have okay copy, and if the offer is great, it'll still work okay, right? You can have a rough checkout process, but if the offer is killer, people will go through the hoops and they'll check out, right? So if the offer isn't just super, super sexy, then that's going to be a big, big problem. And that applies for the sales offer as well as for the opt-in offer. And that's another area where you see like everyone puts up their like 47-page ebook, and I'm so friggin' tired of ebooks. Like it's just, I want an ebook. I don't want to sit and read all this information. What I want you to do is give me the answer. Just give me the silver bullet, right? So whether it's a checklist or a process or a 3-step video or whatever, just tell me the 3 things I need to do to get success, whatever that might be.
Right.
And so people need to get a little bit better at creating good lead magnets that are sexy for people that offer, a good benefit, and it feels easy to get that benefit. If it feels like I got to read 47-page ebook and I got to understand everything about, the industry, then I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah. So checklists are really big right now, but then maybe they're not. I don't know.
Yeah, we do a lot of checklists. We do a lot of videos, a lot of step-by-step guides, right? That's like, make it easy for people. If they feel like, oh, I just need to follow your step-by-step process and I'll get the result. Great. I can do that. Right. Yeah. So, those types of things are awesome. Not to say an ebook is terrible, but if people feel like they have to put in a lot of effort to read a long ebook or whatever, they just aren't going to. We live in a society of instant gratification. And you got to cater to that to a certain extent. Even if you know that your particular, service or product can't deliver instant results, that's okay. You got to be able to deliver an instant vision of the results then, so that they can go like, oh yeah, I get it now. If I just follow Sean's 3-step process, I see how that's going to help me.
Yeah, I call it Fast Food Nation. And there are some books that I have downloaded and read. One is Callan Rush's event thing, which is really, I don't know if you're familiar with her.
I know the name. I haven't read the book.
She's like in cahoots with Jeff Walker. Mm-hmm. But that was one book that I really studied a lot. And I was like, I don't even need to buy your product because the book just tells you everything, but no one wants to read the book. But not everyone's like me. A lot of people, like you said, they want to have that instant gratification. And so when you run into something like that, do you actually help them create those types of money magnets or the video series, or do you have a video in one of your membership levels that help them with creating that?
We don't. That's not necessarily our expertise. We will certainly guide them and tell them, hey, look, this kind of lead magnet is going to work much better than what you've got. But then it's up to them to go create it.
Right.
So we don't write the lead magnet if it's going to be an ebook. If it's going to be like a quiz, we'll do that. You know, we'll create the quiz online or whatever. If it's a checklist, we'll give them the idea of, hey, you should put together a checklist. Then they can create the content easily.
Right.
So we usually guide them as to what type of lead magnet to create. Once they have that guidance, it's usually pretty easy because it's their industry expertise that they know, which is better for them to create versus us.
Right. A lot of times I have a client when they come on board, then I have them write it afterwards. But for some reason, it takes like 4 or 5 months for them to create that because they're so busy. Do you ever run into like, okay, this is going to go a lot better when we complete this, and you're a lot more, I guess, patient than I am, so, and tolerant. So how do you, like, if you get stuck in that area, how do you get them to move forward?
It definitely can be a challenge. One of the ways that we work on that is, like I said, really guiding them as to what kind of lead magnet they should create, and then giving them kind of the steps to do it, right? So if it's going to be a checklist, we can just tell them, hey, look, we just need a checklist on boom, 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 boom. These things, you give it to us, we'll put it together. Great, fine.
Yeah.
Like we just try and make it really easy for them, but we do rely on them for the content because they're the experts in their field. The other thing we can do though, if they're just getting really delayed on getting the content together, we'll have our account manager call them and talk to them about what they understood when they first signed up with us is that, your payments, your monthly payments to us, don't carry over, right? We're not going to carry over work from this month to next month. So if we're sitting around doing nothing because we're waiting on you, you're just burning your own cash.
Right.
And so when we remind them of that, it usually lights a fire enough to where they get moving again.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a client right now that it's been a year, almost the end of the year. I'm like, hey guys, I'm over here.
Yeah.
And they're paying a pretty penny, but when you're making, $1 million a month, it doesn't matter. But back to you. It's really interesting because then that's one bottleneck, right? But cause sometimes the deeper you go, like maybe an e-commerce bottleneck there, or a bottleneck at the after the opt-in. I love what Frank Kern says about conversions. You wouldn't want to buy this, would you? Right. And so what's another common one besides that one? Just a couple more bottlenecks that you run into, consistently.
Well, one is, like we talked about earlier, lifetime customer value, right? So it's very, very common for people to focus on that first sale, and they get the first sale and they're like, okay, got the sale. And then now I'm going to go work on getting new sales. Well, that's really a bad idea. Your best thing to focus on is your existing customers and selling them more of the same stuff. Right. That's your easiest sale to make. You don't have to spend any money to go find that person. They're sitting right there. You've already got a level of trust with them because they've been a customer before. And so, finding more ways to provide the value that they're looking for is your best way of really optimizing. But it's just so uncommon for some reason. We just don't see a lot of small businesses that are natively already operating that way. So that's a great area of opportunity for us when we come in and help a business. Is we can usually generate some cash right away by focusing on upselling and reselling to existing people.
Yeah, and you have a lot of experience with that, with when you were at Infusionsoft, helping them double the size of their business, going from zero to 100 million. I'm sure that you've learned quite a lot to where when it comes to small business. One thing I like most about you, and what we're talking about is the bottleneck here, is you've probably worked with some real big, huge challenges at the corporate level with a room full of people where there's this bottleneck. The solution, but you need to, and I don't want to use the word politic, but you need to talk in a specific way to where people can see that your solution is the right one. And having that talent at that level and then bringing it to small business and just saying, look, I've been here on a huge scale. Now we're just going to scale it down to this, and this is how you're going to increase your lifetime value. I mean, that's just, that's worth its weight in gold, when, in my opinion. Some of the things with the lifetime value, do you build any certain campaigns for them, or do you have that discussion where it's like, well, here's the bottleneck, and then this is what you can do to fulfill that?
Yeah, absolutely. In our full service solution, we'll build the campaign. So we'll figure out, all right, look, is this like an online sale where we can do an easy upsell, immediate upsell right then and there? Or is this more like they have to get into the service, get value out of it for 3 months, then we start presenting other options for them and additional services that they can buy? So you have to figure out the right life cycle there and the right steps. And then we'll build the campaigns, write the copy, put it all together for them so that they, like I said, this is one of the easiest ways we can generate cash for one of our clients when they come in new, is we just find that opportunity right there and just go run with it.
Yeah, that's great. So how would people, what would be like, I know we're in the middle of the podcast, but if someone was like, you know what, I'm sold, how would someone contact you to be at that level right now? Like, would they go to Box Out Marketing / something, or what?
Yeah, just go to boxoutmarketing.com, and then there's a button in the upper right to have a strategy session with us. So you click on that, you'll talk to one of our experts, and they can kind of do an initial analysis with you, figure out where you're at in your business, identify some of those opportunities, and even lay out a rough plan to say, okay, look, if you were to work with us, here's what the plan would look like for the next few months. If that sounds good, then you can move forward and start working with one of our account managers.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what's one of the things I found is the bottleneck for me is, and you're talking about the dashboards, right? And the numbers and understanding the numbers. But I have a challenge with the dashboards themselves, because I'll try to build them and then I won't really know how to do it. And, I'm talking with Scott from Wicked Reports, and he has a new certification that he has for Wicked Reports. Right. So when it comes to the dashboards, to where you can see where this is occurring, are there certain tools that you use, or is everything in Infusionsoft, or how do you find those?
We typically use Infusionsoft. So part of our team is in the Philippines, and our team in the Philippines is trained on setting up the dashboards. And then for our clients, for our ongoing clients, they go in every month, pull the numbers off the dashboard and put them into a spreadsheet. So we have historical tracking every month on everything from leads to conversions to sales to revenue, as well as at the campaign level, open rates, click rates, et cetera, on all the emails, so we can see where the bottlenecks in a sequence and things like that. But all that data is pulled manually by our team, put into a spreadsheet, and then we can look at it over time in the spreadsheet to really understand what's going on there.
Right, and then your team. So I know that you have the groups, but do you do the individual one-on-ones? Is that where, or do you do it in the group and the other thing where you go over their numbers, or is it a little bit more?
Yeah, so for the full service, $3,000 a month, we absolutely do that.
Yeah.
At the $1,000 a month level, we don't, but any one of our other levels down below, you can add for $1,000 a month strategic coaching on top. And so the strategic coach is going to dig in with you on the numbers. Our team will pull the numbers, track the numbers for you, and then our account manager will dig in and help you strategize and lay out the right plans. And then you can use our unlimited service to get all the campaigns built.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a little upsell right there, but I don't want to say an upsell. It's an added value, because a lot of people, like, they're unable to do the 3,000 a month. The 1,000 a month at the group level fits, but then just having that extra one-on-one with someone for an extra couple $100 a month, I mean, that really can be the difference from being at the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill. Yeah. And it's all about the mindset and the coaching and getting the right coaching and having that understanding of, should a 1 be a 0? Should a 0 be a 1? Sometimes I get lost in the weeds, and I just need someone like you guys to help pull me out of that. As you already know, I believe in coaching. I have a ton of coaches. I just need to start listening to them. But when you get to the when you get to the one-on-one with the people, what's that experience like? What's some of the things that they can expect?
So yeah, the first thing that we do when we bring on a new client is we go through an onboarding process, and that is, first pulling all the data, second getting on a call with the client, going through all the data and developing that 6-month plan. Hey, here are the opportunities that we see based on what you're paying. Here are the things that we can do during that time to attack those opportunities. And they're also going to the account manager is going to invite our client to do some messaging research. So we always tell clients, look, we can build fancy funnels all day long. That's fine. We typically don't do them super fancy. We do them simple because simple works better. But building stuff isn't what creates results. The copy is what's going to create results. And so in order for our copywriters to know the right kind of copy, the right message, the right tone, et cetera, we need the client to do a little bit of research. And so we have our clients call some of their past customers, ask a specific series of questions, and then give us all that data. That goes directly to our copywriters. Our copywriters then create what we call a messaging and positioning compass. It's basically kind of a framework and a foundation for all the copy. And then they go about writing the copy for whatever campaigns get built.
Yeah, that right there is a great nugget for having your clients call their previous clients and get some data, some analytics from them. I have clients, they don't really understand the copy. They don't understand the copy follows the funnel. Like they'll write, hey, welcome. And then they'll go to page 2 of the funnel and then they'll send an email going, hey, welcome. And it's like, no, you already welcomed them.
Right.
And so I've fallen into that and like multiple times with clients. But what are some of the things that you would want them to figure out? I know you probably said it, but when you ask them to talk with the clients, do you give them like a sheet or just like a few simple questions?
Yeah, we give them a whole sheet full of questions that we have them ask in order. We invite them to tweak those questions a little bit based on their company and their industry and things like that. But basically what we're asking is, we've talked to the past customers is, what were you looking for when you signed up with us or when you bought our product or whatever? What pains were you having? How were those pains affecting your personal life? Things like that. What we really want to get into is the emotional state of the customer when they made the purchase. Right. The more we can understand the emotional state and the benefit that they were looking for, the better we can write copy. And we want to understand it in their words exactly, because we tend to talk industry jargon, all of us. Right. No matter what business you're in, you talk about your industry jargon in a different way than your customers do. So we want to get it in their words and then utilize their words back to them in the copy. Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I really like how you said the emotional state, because a lot of people want to say, these shoes are made out of leather and they feel great and you'll look like $1 million, when it's just really, I just want my feet to feel nice because I stand all day. Right. I want to be comfortable, and I don't want to have to get a foot massage at the end of the day because my shoes kill my feet, and I feel great and wonderful and lovely. So, so then like, we went over a couple bottlenecks that you talked about, but I want to kind of shift over because you've worked with all of these great people. One of my favorites is Michael Gerber and that book, The E-Myth. Like I was reading that and reading that and reading that and studying it. And then I actually remember Teleconference Pro before all these webinar things. Yeah. I used to have these teleconferences and I'd talk about the book and people would dial in. So what was some of your funnest, what was like probably the most enjoyable time you had with some of these big coaches where you not just learned a lot, but you just really kind of enjoyed it?
Yeah. One of the things that I find really fascinating is when I did some work with Brendon Burchard and I did some work with Frank Kern in both of those situations and many others actually, turns out these guys, they know their stuff, like not just the marketing side, but they know the technical side of things. So when I worked with Brendon, he was having me work on a one-click upsell process, and I got into the code and I was digging through it, and I started asking him like, hey, so where did this code come from? He's like, oh, I wrote it, like I did it. Same thing with Frank. Like Frank can get in and do some basic, stuff, no problem. Like these guys The reason they're so good at what they do is because they've been in the trenches doing the work. Like they don't just assign it all out, whatever. And of course, now at the level that they're at, they're not writing the code, they're not doing all the stuff. But in the early days, they figured it out themselves. And I think the lesson to be learned there, like when you understand all of your tech, all the marketing, everything from the ground up, it does help you be a little more powerful in what you can do. It also allows you to move faster in some situations. Like, hey, I just need to get this done. I need to get it done tonight. I don't have time to go hire someone and wait and whatever. So they're action takers, right?
Yeah.
But just a couple of other specific things, like when I was working with Frank on a campaign that he was doing, it was really cool because he was leaving on vacation. He had promised his wife that he would not take a computer and that he would be offline the whole time when they went to Italy. And so the whole goal was, hey, let's set up this campaign that's going to run automatically while I'm gone. And when I come back, there will be lots of money in my account, right? And so that was kind of the idea. And it was great. It was awesome. Like we sat down, we kind of schemed the whole thing, planned it all out, put together the whole campaign. He wrote the copy. I built everything in Infusionsoft. We launched it. And then just like you kind of always do, we crossed our fingers when he hopped on the plane and left. And I just sat there and watched the dashboard. And sure enough, it worked. So those moments are always cool when you get to kind of get into the details and plan things out and then see the success really within days.
Yeah, and that comes back to the 7 questions from success. It comes back to that word from, and now you're pulling back from this experience that you had there, that you've actually had multiple successes, not just taking Infusionsoft from a few people to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, from just, under 500 leads, actually under 300 leads, to tens of thousands of leads a month. Like you've been really successful in almost everything you do in your marriage, with your family. I know your kids. I see how you treat your wife, which is just really amazing. You really adore her. How long have you been married?
We had our 20-year anniversary this summer.
Wow. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And to just the, man, I'm getting emotional. So back to off the family and back to the things. Now you spoke on multiple stages, right? And oh, by the way, is that when you got the surfboard from Frank? Is when you did that Italian job?
It was a little bit after that. Yeah, he gave me a couple of surfboards. He was in the process of moving. He had a couple of boards that were too small for him. He's like, "Here, you can have them."
Do you still ride them, or?
They're really more just decorations.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we get them out every once in a while. The kids like to ride them.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a client. It's so funny. I have the funniest sentence in the world. I have a client, and he's down in La Jolla. And I built like this kind of Facebook ad cool campaign for him with a funnel and everything, and just really ninja. And I studied like a $300 million company and did the competitive research and how they did it. And then I built it with simple tools. Mm-hmm. And I go down to his house to show him it. And he's like, "I don't have time for that. Can you help me pull this refrigerator up the side of my house?" I'm like, because I'm a bigger guy, he needs my weight. And I'm like, yeah, but we could just hire someone from Home Depot. You're a millionaire, let's go to Home Depot and get some of the laborers. But yeah, and I hurt my arm doing that. But I don't know why I told that story, but it had to do with working with clients. You get surfboards, I get to pull a refrigerator up the side of the building. So with all these people that you spoke with, JJ Virgin, you've spoke with Ramon Ray, Perry Marshall, Frank Kern, all of these people, Brendan Bouchard, and you've done some work with Lisa Sasevich. I didn't see that on here, but I remember, I used to live down the street from her. I don't know if you know that or not.
Yeah.
So what, like with all that, I know that you have SuccessCon. Can we talk about SuccessCon a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. We just barely finalized the details on that. So SuccessCon 2020 is going to be in November. So it's, more than a year away still as of the recording of this, but it'll be November 12th through the 14th in Scottsdale. Why in Scottsdale? Not because I want it to be in Scottsdale, but because we're putting it together with PartnerCon. So Infusionsoft has their partner event That'll be the first half of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be SuccessCon. So mark your calendars now. We don't have details out yet, but we'll be launching a website in a little bit, and people will be able to pre-register and everything.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of the partners would like to know about that, because I'm all about the maple bacon.
Yeah.
For some reason, we don't have maple bacon in California, but we do in Arizona. So I'm all in on that one. But so with SuccessCon, because, you know, these have been really, really great. Here's the thing about like traffic. I'm going to say it because I'm a partner with Digital Marketer as well. Traffic and conversions is amazing. I've been to a bunch of them, but now it's getting to like a lot of like these employees and a lot of book read people. And they're like, oh, you know, I need to make a lead magnet and then a tripwire. And then I got my core offer. You know, they're just kind of regurgitating stuff that they read or heard.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see them. This is one of the funniest things. And I saw this many, many years ago. But a girl went in and listened to someone say something from the stage. Then she comes out. She's still wearing her badge. By the way, I know that you had something like this at one time, right?
Yeah. I think I threw like 50 of those away a little while ago.
But she's still wearing her badge, and then she's wearing her badge, but she's on Instagram saying, oh, this is how you do this thing. But at SuccessCon, this is what separates SuccessCon from all the other events. These are real people, real entrepreneurs. And I don't mean the people on the stage. I'm not talking about the speakers. I'm talking about the people in the audience. They're real entrepreneurs with real businesses that really need to take their business to the next level. So when you go to SuccessCon as an entrepreneur, you're not going to meet other employees or people that are just like trying to be an influencer, or I call them posers, right? You're going to meet real people, real business owners, and the mindset there, you know, is just so amazing. So how did you put that all together the first time, and what challenges did you have? Because they just get better and better and better.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, you know, Infusionsoft ran a user conference for the Infusionsoft audience for about 10 years. And then they decided that they want to just focus on the software and they weren't going to be doing events anymore. And so they canceled Icon. And at that moment, we were in the process of planning our own event anyways. And so then we just kind of pivoted real quickly and said, all right, we're just going to take over the user conference void. We created SuccessCon and we launched the event. Luckily, it's been a real community effort. You know, we reached out to all the other partners and said, hey, we're going to do this. You know, will you sponsor? Will you help? And all that kind of stuff. Will you come and speak? And everyone's been so great and really been a big part of it. So the great community around Infusionsoft is the main reason that has gone well. The other reason I'd say it's gone well is because when I was at Infusionsoft, my team and I used to run SuccessCon or InfusionCon.
Right.
Called back then. And so I've had a little bit of experience in running that event for a few years. So I knew kind of the basics of what would make it a good event and how to put it together, and some of the tips around, you know, negotiating with hotels and AV companies and all that kind of stuff. So that's partly why it all came together. But the most important thing is just the community is awesome.
Yeah.
But the challenge is running an event is no joke. And the biggest challenge is probably cash flow, right? Because you have to put up a lot of cash initially to contract the hotel, to reserve rooms, to get, you know, food and beverage all organized, to contract an AV company. And you got to put up all that cash before you've collected any money on sponsorships, ticket sales, all that kind of stuff. So it's a real big risk that you got to go out and take before you know if it's going to pay off. And so that's the biggest challenge, truthfully. Other than that, it's been great. You know, all the logistics are always a challenge when you're running an event. But that's why you get a good event planner and have them take care of it.
Right. Yeah. You know, one of the things, because what you're saying about the event and putting it all together, you know, it's that first day, you know, and you get there early and everything's set up, and then your heart's just beating and you're like, oh, I hope just one person shows up, right? And then everyone starts coming in with their airline bags, and you're like, people, like, I have an event. So I live on a community property. I live in a gated area. Okay. We have a movie theater. Every time I say I have an 18-seat movie theater, people are like, wow, you live in a mansion? I'm like, no, I live in a little shack, right? But we have a movie theater. So I have a live event there. And I remember telling one of my clients that, and they're like, oh, well, I'll just fly out there. When is it? I'm like, and I told them, wait a minute, it's just a meetup, but it felt good. So when people started showing up and by the way, the speakers there were great. Brian Keith, Craig Jacobson, like they had everybody, like how to do the sales. After the first one, did you feel like a relief? Like, yeah, this is something that I want to continue to do, or did you kind of have to have a little bit of discussion about it?
Yeah, no, the first one was great, and truthfully, kind of like you said, after it was all over, I just kind of breathed this huge sigh of relief. I was like, wow, the people actually came, the partners supported it, it all worked out, it was amazing. I just felt like so blessed.
Right.
So grateful for the community, just this overwhelming sense of gratitude. And so I was all amped to do it again. The second year, though, actually that was earlier this year. Afterwards, I wasn't sure if we were going to do it again, probably because it's just a lot of work and it doesn't generate a whole lot of revenue. So
right.
Look at it from that standpoint, it's just not worth doing. It really isn't. But the thing that has changed since then is, our agency is now operating at a really, really good level without my involvement a whole lot. So
right.
I've got a really good VP of operations who's running the company really, most of it anyways. I'm still doing the marketing, but he's running everything. And so I've got some free time to work on SuccessCon. I've spun SuccessCon off as a separate entity, a separate business entity. And we're kind of re-envisioning the way SuccessCon is going to operate to make it more profitable and more valuable for the people that come. So two things we're changing there. One is we're making it an industry event, not just Infusionsoft. So it'll be small business marketing automation, Infusionsoft, Ontraport, ActiveCampaign, et cetera, is kind of the vision, as well as the breakouts. Instead of them just being lots of speakers getting up and sharing stuff, which has been great in the past, we're going to make them a little more actionable, a little more workshop style thing.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you want to build a webinar campaign, go in this room. They're going to go build it right now in ActiveCampaign or in Infusionsoft or whatever, right? If you want to build a lead magnet campaign, then go in this room and you're going to do that over there. So it's going to be more like action taking and doing that kind of thing. And also more time for networking, which has been the request the last 2 years in a row. It's like, hey, we just want more time to hang out together and network and learn and all that kind of stuff. So we're making some of those changes based on what people have requested, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, and plus you're partnering, well, you're going to go in conjunction with PartnerCon, which will also bring that level of, not just having the partners there, but then having the other people that are in partnership with other, businesses as well, which I think I love that, because when I go to an event, first of all, I'm taking the time. I went to yesterday, I golfed 18 holes we have a free detox for men in San Diego, where men can go and detox off of alcohol for free and get back with their lives and their families. And so we had a big to-do yesterday. Cool. And the thing is with that, I have to take the time off from my business to go do stuff. So when I go to a SuccessCon, I have to take time off, but to have it with PartnerCon and Maple Bacon, I'm all in. So yeah, that's great.
It's easier so people don't have to travel twice, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Particularly people coming from overseas or coming from the East Coast or whatever. They can go there one time, get all the information on both sides, and then go home. So
now I just want to ask two more questions because we're at the top of the hour. You have an award called the what is the award that you give there? Is it
at SuccessCon? It's the Ultimate Marketer Award. So that's kind of a tradition that's been passed down from the early InfusionCon days. And the idea is that we have people submit their case study essentially before the event. We narrow it down to the top 3 competitors. They get to present at the event, and then the audience votes on the best case study essentially. And so that's really exciting. And they get awarded some cash and things like that. I'm not 100% sure we're going to do that this coming year because it's going to be an industry event, and with the different platforms and whatnot, I'm not sure how we'll be able to do that. So that part's on hold, but that's been a really exciting thing in the past for sure.
Yeah, that's always nice. And then the last question is, and I ask everyone this, is what's the one thing you've always wanted to do in your business that you've never done, but that you want to do in the next year?
The one thing that I've always wanted to do that I've never done, that's a really good question. I tend to do the things that I want to do. And that's not always a good thing. So I tend to spin up a lot of ideas. That's why we've got a membership site and an event and services and products and all these different things. And that creates a bit of confusion in the marketplace, right? So lately, what we've been trying to do is actually simplify and consolidate all of that stuff into very simple options. Like I said, those 4 levels that we talked about earlier that people can come in at, and that's it. So instead of trying to do more, I'm trying to do less. That's really my focus right now, is to do less. Maybe that's the thing I've always wanted to do that I never did, is do less.
Right.
I've always done more. I've always done too many things, spin up too many ideas.
But you also have a book coming up.
Yeah, actually, that's a good one. I've wanted to write a book for a long time. I've actually started multiple different books and then never really felt like they were the right one.
Right.
But this one now this is the one. Like, this is the formula that we're going to give to small businesses worldwide to allow them to get results without having to have years and years of experience.
Yeah, that'll be an important book. I wrote a book, and it's called, How to Fill Your Wellness Center, like in under 30 days. Right. And what it was is I just was writing blogs, and I just took all the blogs and I threw them together. But it's really like, 7 of the main campaigns, and I just put them all together and I explained how the campaigns work. Sure. But I also have another thing coming up you might be interested in, which is Automated Marketing Summit. So I have ultimatephonefollowup.com. It's a website, and you can go there, and it tells you how to do a follow-up with the phone and with automation. Okay. So is your book going to have any technical expertise in it, or is it going to be mostly entrepreneurial?
Yeah, it's more the strategy side of things.
Okay.
It's more how to develop the right strategy for your business. Okay. How you then implement that strategy, that's going to be up to you. So this will not be specific to Infusionsoft or any particular technology. It'll be just more small business strategy. Yeah,
cool. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast. This is great. And you have some things coming up that we'd love to have you back, when you do get the book complete, when SuccessCon comes up. I've had people on my other podcast, Sobriety Society. I've had multiple people on that because they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're having the same thing here. But now for the listeners, how would they find you? I know you got Box Out Marketing, but what are some other ways that they can connect with you or get some of your freebies or get on your list? What would they need to do?
Yeah, so for free information, just go to iloveinfusionsoft.com. If you're an Infusionsoft user, go to iloveinfusionsoft.com. You can opt in there, and you can follow the I Love Infusionsoft profile on Instagram and Facebook. We're putting out like 3 videos a week, just like little Infusionsoft tips and things like that, stuff that's going to make your life a lot easier. So that's one way to get some great free information. If you're interested in working with us, then go to boxoutmarketing.com and you can request a strategy session there.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you once again for showing up. We got Tyler Garnes, the original Infusionsoft Ninja, actually dubbed that by the CEO and founder, Clayton Mask, who I'm sure he has a high regard and respect for you, especially to say something like that. I mean, for you to take the business Infusionsoft from a few employees to hundreds of employees using Infusionsoft. I mean, if anybody knows Infusionsoft inside and out and is ninja about it, I'm sure you know things about that software that other people have an inkling of, where you go really in depth. So again, I want to thank you for showing up, and we'll see you at SuccessCon.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. It's great to be with you.
Thanks, Tyler. We'll talk.
Bye.